It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend getaway, a chance for three friends to escape the city's noise and reconnect with nature. Rizwan, Heine, and Danish had planned this trip for months, setting their sights on an old, desolate cabin deep in the woods. A place untouched for years, or so they thought. As they approached, the cabin looked exactly as they'd imagined, lifeless and forgotten. Its windows were shattered, dark eyes staring blankly into the forest. The front door hung precariously from a single hinge, groaning with every gust of wind. It was the perfect setting for a rustic adventure. But the moment they stepped inside, a shiver that had nothing to do with the cold ran down their spines. The interior was spotless. The dusty, cobweb-covered ruin they expected was nowhere to be seen. Instead, the wooden floors gleamed as if recently polished. The furniture was free of dust, and a faint scent of lemon hung in the air. It was as if someone had just finished cleaning, preparing for their arrival. The friends exchanged uneasy glances before shrugging it off with nervous laughter. "Must be some local caretakers," Danish suggested, his voice a little too loud. "Or maybe other campers use this spot regularly." They tried to believe it.
Wanting to reclaim the excitement they'd felt just moments before.
They unpacked their gear, started a fire outside, and settled in for the night, the crackling flames pushing back the encroaching darkness. As the fire danced and shadows stretched long across the clearing, Rizwan felt a prickle of unease. Eyes kept drifting towards the cabin. He squinted, trying to make sense of what he was seeing through the broken window pane. A flicker of movement. A shadow, tall and slender, gliding through the room inside. But that was impossible. Hina was right beside him, and Danish was adding another log to the fire. They were all outside. "Did you guys see that?" he whispered, his voice tight. Hina and Danish followed his gaze, but the cabin remained still and empty. "You're just letting the woods get to you," Hina said, trying to sound brave, but the seed of fear had been planted. Deciding to prove him wrong, they cautiously approached the cabin, their footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. Pushing the creaking door open, they stepped back into the unnervingly clean room. The air was colder now, heavy with a silence that felt watchful. And then they saw it. The chairs they had left pushed against the wall were now arranged neatly around the small wooden table in the center of the room. And on that table, a single, delicate teacup sat, a spiral of steam rising from the dark liquid within. It was fresh. It was hot. Panic began to set in, a cold, sharp claw gripping their hearts. They weren't alone. "We have to go." "Now?" Danish stammered, his earlier confidence gone. They grabbed their backpacks and scrambled out of the cabin, not daring to look back. They plunged into the forest, hoping to find the trail that led them here. But the woods had transformed. The familiar path had vanished, replaced by an endless maze of identical looming trees.
Ow.
Every direction looked the same. The forest seemed to close in around them, a living, breathing entity that didn't want them to leave. Their phones had no signal. Their flashlights, their only guide in the suffocating darkness, began to flicker and die one by one, plunging them into a terrifying, disorienting gloom. That's when the whispers started. Faint at first, like the rustling of leaves, they grew clearer, slithering through the trees from all directions. They were calling their names. Asterisk Rizwan, Hina Danish. Asterisk the voices were soft, beckoning, and utterly horrifying. Hina, stumbling near the cabin's outer wall, let out a blood-curdling scream. She was staring at her own reflection in a grimy window pane, her face pale with terror. But her reflection wasn't copying her movements. As she stood frozen in fear, her reflection slowly raised a hand and smiled, a wide, predatory grin that didn't belong to her. That was the last they saw of her before the darkness swallowed her whole. By morning, only a chilling silence remained. The campsite was deserted, save for a single, empty tent. Cold and abandoned, flapping in the wind. The locals who live on the edge of those woods have a warning for anyone who ventures too close. They say you can still see a strange light flickering from the window of that old cabin every single night. And if you dare to get close enough, if you listen carefully on the wind, you might just hear faint voices whispering your name, patiently waiting for new visitors to arrive. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more terrifying tales, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Stay safe out there, and until next time, sweet dreams.